All right, so moving on, we need to now start to think about actually engaging the landscape, right? And there are a few different ways you can do this, and you as the designer, you have some design, flexibility to decide essentially how you want it to integrate, particularly because of the fact that we have these sort of wide gaps. And there are any number of ways that you can engage that, but I'm going to overly simplify that and focus on the locations that my geometry is engaging the ground plane first, and I'm going to blend that into a flat plate. So the thing that I want to do first here, I think, is to actually generate that flat plate. And that flat plate for me is going to be that second buffer zone that I created. That would be this right here, because the area between that 25-foot range, that's going to be where I allow my geometry to transition either up or down to meet it, and to kind of, blend into it in a smooth way. Similar to what we did before with the other assignment. So with this one, I'm actually going to extrude this using extrude curve. And notice how if I don't, or the way that my extrude curve command came up as a default setting, there is no top or bottom set to it. So for those of you who are less familiar with Rhino, be aware that you want this to say solid equals yes. So you click that and it'll toggle it to solid equals yes. And it'll look like this, where it actually has a top and a bottom. The other thing that you need to figure out before you actually finish executing this command is that you have geometry that has basically multiple depths, right? You have some that are very thick, some that are very thin. So you need to pick some kind of level of articulation that you want this thing to be deep, so that you give it room to actually blend in a particular way. So whether you want to go with your largest depth, even larger than your largest depth, or if you want to have even your thick masses blend out into a small mass, right? So you're kind of the driver of all of those decisions, and in the end, it really won't matter that much, and I'll show you why, but just pick something that's significant enough for you. For me, what I'm going to do is actually just pick whatever point is approximately the lowest, and I'm going to have them all blend out into something that's thicker than the condition that they're currently in. Additionally, let's see here. I have some at the top, some at the bottom. Yeah, that's probably going to be okay. You might want to kind of pull a few of them down, but generally I want mine to be aligned at the top. But we'll see. I might change my mind about some of them. Okay, so there's another thing that you need to be aware of, is that we need some kind of alignment to blend this thing to, right? So basically, if I take, and this is the poor example that I'm giving you, let's say I just wanted to have this face reach out to meet that face, right, in a very simple way. If I Control Shift and click that surface, go up into my top view, and I extrude that, extrude surface, and for some reason it's not giving me a direction going that way, so change my direction from here to there, and then pull to that, right? I can get it to actually meet that geometry, and even on the bottom side it looks like it meets it smoothly, but that is not really a compelling way of blending the surfaces, is it? Right? Theoretically, no. So what I'm proposing for this particular exercise is to take advantage of the areas where we have connections or splits between the geometry that actually meets the edge. So that would be something like this, and actually let's just study it at the top end for now. So the thing that I'm trying to, I guess, stress here is, let's get a secondary geometry that we can use blend surfaces in order to basically remap the termination of this geometry to meet that outer edge. And it sounds like a lot of jargon, but let's just take a look at it here real fast. So I'm going to do I think I'll just do lines. I'll do it with the line command. Doesn't really matter if you turn project on or off, but in between here, if I need to bisect this and just have them kind of blend back into one surface, really all I need to do is just draw a line from there to there. And this one will kind of S-curve back and blend into that, and this one will sort of S-curve back the opposite direction and blend into that one. However, over here, we need to be cognizant of the fact that they're A, at extreme angles, and B, there's a much wider gap. So we need to change our curve to actually connect somewhere off to the other side. So I'm actually going to pick this whole corner like that. Let's see where that actually wound up. That's above, that's at the below point. Okay. And then this one actually doesn't connect until way, way down there. So I'll draw a line. Do I want that to meet all the way at this corner? And that one to go all the way over there? Yeah, probably. I'll go here to here. So, so essentially what I'm going to be doing here is taking these curves and extruding them so that they are a surface that meets the top and bottom of each one of these. So the edges on this one, let me go back into wireframe. I'll extrude that curve and I'm just going to pull it all the way down. So now this exists as a plane. You won't be able to see it in, I guess I could turn on the ghosted view like that. Right, that is a plane that actually exists inside that geometry. You can't really see it very well up there, so I'm going to go back to wireframe. This one will be the same. So extrude curve, bring it down. You can click on that point. That's good to go. This one is a little different. You need to find it probably and get it to intersect the top, unless yours already does. Turn project on when you do that. Move. Go from here to here. Now, oh, I need to extrude that. Pull it down there. And this one is weird. You could probably, and probably should, trim off the excess. So I'm going to trim, grab this, hit enter, get rid of that, and that. All right. So I've probably lost half of you doing that, okay? Because it's a lot of just operational stuff. That's not the important part. This is. So please listen up and focus, right? What we're going to do at this point is blend all of this geometry in. So we need to consider what we have here and get them to actually sort of meet up with one another. I'm going to temporarily move this to a different layer and turn that layer off so that we just look at the planes that we generated, right? The simplest form here is that I can use blend, if I can ever type anything correctly, blend surface, and I can blend this edge to this edge, and as long as they're facing the right way, it'll work properly. So let me flip this surface. There to there. There we go. Right, and that creates a pretty smooth transition. Right, this is all stuff that you're kind of getting used to. But here is an interesting one, right? This one actually has two pieces that are that need to be blended into that surface as well. So you have options. You can actually physically split this one in half, or you can create a second surface and have it split in half. It's really up to you. In this case, what I'm going to do is actually draw a line, turn project off from the midpoint to the midpoint, and then split this object by, if I can grab that curve, where is it? There it is. Split that, enter. I can't grab that curve. Oh, because it needs to be a plane. Sorry. We need to actually extrude this. Actually, it shouldn't need to be a plane. I don't know why it's giving me difficulty. But create a second plane and we can split it with that. So split, we're going to split that using this. Get rid of that. So now what we have is we have a top one and we have a bottom one. Yvonne said this is important. All right, so then we can blend surface. Not that. Get this one from there. And now we grab the top one because this one is obviously above it. Ugh, and then we have to flip it again. That's just part of the process, folks. Blend to blend. Oh, great. You flipped it again. Come on. All right, blend surface. That edge to this edge. And you flipped again. Come on.
You could actually move the numbers, like the points.
You might be right. There. To there. Oh, hey, magic. Anyway, that's frustrating. But anyway, so you get that surface to blend here, and then you just do the same thing with the bottom one. So I'm going to take this one right there, and whoops. Do that to that. There you go. So, you know, and I compounded that. Now, I mean, I didn't realize it was going to be that perfect, but I compounded that one. But basically what you need to know is that, you know, with something like this, that might actually happen in a different location, right? Like you might have a geometry that happens here instead, and you're only going to want the top half, right? So you'll blend that to this one and then blend another one to another position, okay? So even though these two kind of blend together, and into a smooth surface, that's what you need to do. So, you know, long story short is you just go around the whole profile here, and you select, and then you select this one, and just go through that whole process of blending them all, and then you grab your top edges, bottom edges, and you can loft them together or something like that. Whether it's loft or network surface is up to you. You're now familiar enough with the process to know, you know, some things like this one gives us a weird overlap. So you might want to use like a network surface there instead. So actually, let's try that to be sure. Do a line from here to there. And let's do network surface. We'll select. Might need a separate line. There. Network surface. Select that curve, that, and that. Ooh. Alright, so we're probably going to have to bifurcate this into separate surfaces then, since it's compounded. Let's try, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Sweep to this with that, and our cross-section curve of that. Alright, well I'm going to have to figure out how I want to connect that one. If we loft, let me think about that one for a while. But this one would be simpler, right? Or maybe not. Blend surface. There. And actually, now that I'm thinking of it, I'm going to need to reconstruct a few things for this one, because this one's going to have to be a half as well. So, I know I haven't quite done the full thing yet, but let's pull this one off to the side, and then we can blend that edge to this edge. Aye. There we go. Okay, so the idea really is that you can take those edges and, you know, network surface, or you can loft them. I'm not sure how exactly you want to do it, but you might have to draw in some lines and get them to connect properly. But there to there, network, this curve, that curve, that curve, and that curve. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do, is create that transition from the bottom surface to kind of blend back up into the surface, whether it's up or down or however you want to align the thing. You as the designer sort of have the freedom to do so any particular way, but that's the objective right here. Ooh, looks like I got some weird edge there. Yeah, it's not causing any problems yet. So what questions do you have? And we're gonna do that for all these surfaces. I'll show you while you're working on it. I'm gonna kind of move a little bit ahead of you and complete mine, and then finish that up. But any questions? Yes.
Does the surface you blend it with the plane, does it have to be on the same x-plane? So like when I blend surface, it goes like this. It goes up a little bit. Would that be okay, or is it?
That's what this one does. Like I have some geometry that's in line and some that isn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it might go up, it might go down, depending on how you aligned your base plane. Mine just happens to sit a little bit lower than the geometry itself. Any other questions? All right, guys. This is going to take probably a fair bit of time to get through and get used to doing. So let's get into work mode.